What happens when speed meets size? You get Tom Aspinall, the fastest, most dangerous heavyweight in the world right now, in just 2 minutes and 2 seconds. That's the average fight time for the most explosive heavyweight the UFC has ever seen. Tom Aspinall holds the record for shortest fights in UFC history, lands more strikes per minute than any heavyweight ever, and scores knockdowns at a rate that's second only to legends. But here's the crazy part. This wasn't supposed to happen. How does a quiet kid from Manchester, who once questioned if he even belonged in the UFC, become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world? This is that story. Tom Aspinall's story begins on April 11th, 1993, in the working-class town of Atherton, Greater Manchester. At just 7 years old, Tom followed his father Andy into the world of martial arts at the Lee Self-Defense Studio. But this wasn't just a hobby. It was a family commitment. When Tom turned 12, his father made a life-changing decision that would shape everything. Andy quit his lucrative 25-year IT career to open Aspinall BJJ, sacrificing financial security because there weren't enough jiu-jitsu schools in their area. Tom thrived under his father's guidance, winning the British Open in Brazilian jiu-jitsu across every belt class except black. Then came the game changer. At 16, Tom experienced a massive growth spurt, shooting from 5'8" to 6'5" almost overnight. This dramatic physical transformation completely altered his athletic potential. By 18, he'd compiled a dominant amateur record of 9 wins and 1 loss, with 8 victories coming by finish. The foundation was set. Tom's professional journey wasn't the smooth ride you'd expect from a future champion. Between 2014 and 2016, he struggled to find his rhythm, posting a modest 5-2 record that left him questioning his path. Frustrated and uncertain, Tom made the bold decision to step away from MMA entirely, taking a 2.5-year hiatus from competition. But this wasn't time wasted. During his break, opportunity knocked in the form of Tyson Fury. Tom became a training partner for the heavyweight boxing legend as Fury prepared for his historic bout against Vladimir Klitschko. Under the guidance of Peter Fury, Tom absorbed invaluable lessons about movement, timing, and mental warfare. When he finally returned in 2019, Tom was a completely different fighter. Signing with Cage Warriors, he delivered 2 devastating first-round knockouts in under 2 minutes each. The UFC came calling, but in a move that showed incredible maturity, Tom turned them down. He didn't feel ready yet. That patience would prove to be genius. When Tom finally accepted the UFC's offer in 2020, he made an immediate statement. His debut against Jake Collier lasted just 45 seconds before he dropped a devastating knee that crumpled his opponent. Performance of the night bonus earned. But this wasn't beginner's luck. This was the start of something special. Tom went on an absolute tear, winning his first 5 UFC fights with a perfect finishing rate. He submitted former heavyweight champion Andrei Arlovski with a rear naked choke, then shocked Alexander Volkov with a lightning-fast armbar in the first round. Each victory came with another performance bonus, and the MMA world started taking notice. What made Tom different wasn't just his power, it was his speed and precision. He holds the UFC record for shortest average fight time at just 2 minutes and 2 seconds. While other heavyweights plodded through long, grueling battles, Tom was ending fights before most fans could settle into their seats. The heavyweight division had never seen anything like this. July 23rd, 2022, Manchester. The biggest night of Tom's career was about to become his darkest moment. Facing Curtis Blades in front of his home crowd, Tom was just 15 seconds into the first round when disaster struck. Throwing what seemed like a routine leg kick, his knee locked up and everything went wrong. The sound was sickening. Tom collapsed to the canvas, writhing in agony as the referee waved off the fight. 364 days he'd be out of action, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the mental anguish. Tom admitted he had a few dark days during recovery, unable to walk and questioning everything he'd worked for. This was a fighter who couldn't sit still, now forced into complete inactivity. He even considered ending his MMA career entirely. The pressure had been immense, a main event in his hometown, title implications on the line, And it all ended in the worst possible way. When Tom returned on July 22, 2023, exactly 1 year after his injury, he had something to prove. Facing Marcin Tybura, he wasted no time settling any doubts. 73 seconds. That's all it took for Tom to announce his comeback with a brutal knockout that sent shockwaves through the heavyweight division. But this was just the appetizer. The numbers behind Tom's power tell an incredible story. 7 of his 8 UFC wins came by stoppage, knockout, technical knockout, or submission. 6 of those finishes happened in the first round. He lands 8.07 significant strikes per minute, the highest rate in heavyweight division history. Even more terrifying, he averages 4.09 knockdowns per 15 minutes, the second highest rate in UFC history across all divisions. Then came the ultimate test. With just 2 weeks' notice, Tom stepped in to fight Sergey Pavlovich for the interim heavyweight championship at UFC 295. Pavlovich was an absolute wrecking machine, but Tom needed just over 1 minute to flatten him with a perfect right hand. Interim champion. Another performance bonus. The comeback was complete. UFC 3-4 in Manchester. The scene of Tom's greatest heartbreak was about to become his moment of ultimate redemption. Curtis Blades stood across from him again, the man whose fight had nearly ended Tom's career. But this wasn't the same Tom Aspinall. This was a fighter who'd been through hell and emerged stronger. 1 minute into the first round, Tom landed a perfect combination that sent Blades crashing to the canvas. The circle was complete. Revenge served cold in front of his home crowd. With this victory, Tom achieved something remarkable. He became only the 3rd interim champion in UFC history to successfully defend the interim title. His 7 performance of the night bonuses tied him for 4th most in UFC history, matching legends like Donald Cerrone and Conor McGregor. But more importantly, he'd proven that the injury was behind him. The mental scars had healed alongside the physical ones. Tom wasn't just back, he was better than ever. The heavyweight division's most dangerous weapon was fully loaded and ready for whatever came next. For nearly 2 years, the MMA world waited for one fight. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, the undisputed champion against the interim champion, the GOAT against the future. But Jon Jones had other plans. Despite Dana White's constant assurances that the fight would happen, Jones seemed increasingly reluctant to face the young Englishman. Months turned into seasons, and Tom remained in limbo, holding an interim title for a record-breaking 588 days, longer than any interim champion in UFC history. Then on June 21, 2025, everything changed. During a press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, Dana White dropped the bombshell. Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC. Just like that, without throwing a single punch, Tom had achieved what he'd been fighting for. Jones walked away rather than face him. Tom's response was perfect. For you fans, it's time to get this heavyweight division going. An active, undisputed champion. The torch had been passed, not through violence, but through inevitability. With Jon Jones in the rearview mirror, Tom's attention turns to his first undisputed title defense. The frontrunner? Cyril Gane, the slick French striker who's been circling the title picture for years. Ironically, this matchup almost happened before. The UFC wanted Tom to fight Gane at UFC 304, but Gane turned it down to pursue his acting career. Now, with Tom as the undisputed champion, that luxury is gone. Gane recently bounced back with a victory over Alexander Volkov and has been vocal about wanting his shot at the title. It's a fascinating stylistic clash. Gane's technical striking and elusive movement against Tom's explosive power and finishing instinct. Gane has the experience of having fought Jon Jones for the title before, losing by submission. But Tom represents a completely different challenge. Where Jones used wrestling and control, Tom brings chaos and unpredictability. For the first time in nearly 2 years, the heavyweight division has direction. An active champion ready to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. From a jiu-jitsu prodigy in England to a UFC undisputed champion and one of the most explosive heavyweights we've ever seen, Tom Aspinall's rise has been anything but ordinary. He's battled injuries, doubts, and setbacks that would have ended most fighters' careers. But instead of folding, he came back faster, sharper, and hungrier than ever. Now, as he prepares to face Cyril Gane, a dangerous striker and former interim champ himself, all eyes are on Aspinall. Is this the moment he establishes his reign and proves he's the future of heavyweight MMA? And let's be honest, with Jon Jones retiring rather than facing him, you have to wonder, was the GOAT avoiding a showdown with a younger, faster, more complete version of himself? Or did Jon simply know when his time was up? One thing's for sure, Tom Aspinall isn't just the champion now. He's building a legacy. Let me know in the comments, does Aspinall beat Gane? And did Jon Jones make the right call retiring? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.